Hello everyone and welcome to my studio this morning. As you can see, I've got all kinds of fun arty things to play with here. And I've been doing some weaving workshops recently. We've been using these long, narrow cardboard looms that look something like this. And I've had a few requests from people to show them how to turn their weaving into a pouch, something like this. So if you've taken one of my weaving workshops recently, you might have a loom that looks something like this, which has weaving at both ends and some space in the middle. You may also have been very enthusiastic and finished weaving the whole loom, in which case it may look like something like this one. That was woven by a young weaver named Ben at Homa Elementary in Steveston. Hi Ben and everybody else at Homa. It's nice to see you again. Either way, it's good, and I will show you how to turn your weaving into a pouch today. Good morning. I'm just going to clean up my desk from last night's workshop. We're making some postcards for my 2020 postcards project. And if you'd like to make some postcards for me and send them in, I got a really nice batch the other day from an elementary school in Kerrisdale. I'd love to have you make me some postcards, and I will leave the link to the project and all of the details down below in the comments. Today we're going to be working on finishing up this weaving and turning our weaving into a pouch. Now your pouch might look something like this one, where both sides are the same size. No, I did not weave this one. Or you might end up with pouch, yes, I did weave this one, that has a flap. It'll be up to you, and I'll show you how you can make both styles. I'm going to start out with this project here that's finished. I decided I was not going to weave the center section here. I've got a little bit of weaving at both ends, and it does not at all matter if the sides are straight or if they're lumpy and bumpy. I've had many, many years of weaving experience to get my edges to be straight. The first thing you're going to want to do is get some smooth thread or string and thread that onto your weaving needle. Now I'm using a metal needle because that's what I have in my studio, but if you have the plastic needles that you've been using to do your weaving, that's fine too. And just thread some thread on it, and you want that thread to be quite nice and long. And then you're going to go look at the end of your weaving where you tied off the strings. Now your strings might be tied up here, or they might be tied further down. But what you want to do is, this is really important so your weaving doesn't fall apart. You're going to weave over and under through the end, and hopefully you've been able to move your threads out of the way, over and under through those loops. And you're going to leave a nice long end hanging here on one side, but make sure you've gone through those two loops at the end. And if your loops are on opposite ends, you'll have to do this on both ends, the loops where you've tied things off. Now you want to, this string should be quite long, and you're going to want to have it about halfway through, because we're going to use this thread here to sew up the sides of our pouch. Now after I've done that, I can slide everything back up. Now your two ends of your weaving, they might be the same length, or one end might be longer. If one end is longer, that's perfectly fine. There are a couple of ways to deal with that. You can squash one end down, you can pull one end out. If they're the same length, you'll end up with a pouch that looks like this, that does not have a flap. But if one end is longer than the other, you'll be able to make a flap. So that will be up to you if you want to flap or not. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our weaving off the loom. And the easiest way to do that is to kind of gently pull the loom so it's sort of curved a little bit. And with your loom curved, you'll be able to slide those tabs at the back off. And you do that on both ends. Once you've done one end, the other end will come off really easily. And then you'll have your weaving. Now, if you've woven all the way, you won't have the space in the middle, and here's the next step. You're going to fold your weaving in half. So the two woven ends are sitting on top of each other. Now, if you've woven all the way to the end, if you've woven your whole thing, you're not going to have these strings, in which case you can skip this next step. But if you've got some strings here at the bottom, what you're going to do is you're going to tie knots, and you might not need to practice.
Okay, we're going to do some practice knot tying right now. So we're going to pretend that this string that I have here is the warp thread that you have at the bottom of your weaving. And to tie an overhand knot, what you need to do is you need to tie a series of knots right at the end. To tie an overhand knot, what you do is you'll take this string and you'll form a loop, and then you'll take the end of it and you'll tuck it through the loop and then pull that knot snug right up at the end of your weaving. And you're going to do that with every single one of those threads that you'll see at the end of your weaving. Now, if you need to, you can practice tying your knot on a scrap piece of yarn until you're pretty sure that you're going to be able to tie that overhand knot. So I'll show you again without the weaving in the way. You'll make a loop, and you'll take your end and you'll tuck it underneath that loop, and then you'll pull it through, just like that. So practice that until you're comfortable that you can do this on your weaving.
But you're going to go all the way across, and you want these knots to be right up at the end of the weaving. So what's happening here is we're closing off the bottom of the weaving. So you see that? We're connecting those two ends together.
Tying all of our loops. Once you've got all your loops tied at the end, now your weaving is one full piece. You can decide if you want those loops to be on the outside or if you want them to be on the inside if you don't want to see them. You're going to take, remember those strings those long strings that we left at the top edge. You're going to thread one of those strings onto your needle again, and we're going to sew up the sides. We're going to sew up the sides off the weaving, and we're going to do an overhand stitch. So you're going to go over through both layers of your weaving, over through both layers of your weaving, and you'll go all the way down to the bottom like that. Through both layers of your weaving. Through both layers. All the way down to the bottom. And then you're going to make a loop and tie this knot. Okay. Now, if you would like to put some straps onto your bag, you can either braid your straps just like you would braid hair. use a 3-strand braid and braid it together. This is a felted strap that I have for this necklace here that I made. And you just lie it on the side of your pouch and just sew it on just the way we sewed up the sides on either side, and then you have a strap and your pouch will be finished.